Hi, this is Scott Carter. We're here at an investor expo, and we had a few moments to sit down with our good friend, Jason Redman. Jason and I have known each other for a while now, and we've been working with not only his organizations, but he's also been very key in helping us get the message out of our responsibilities as corporate citizens. So I wanted to take a few moments just to interview Jason to talk about his organizations. Jason, great
Scott,
being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Good to see you again.
Absolutely. So we've got the Combat Wounded Coalition, which is your overarching not-for-profit that helps soldiers, and then you've got your Overcome Academy within that.
That's right.
I think our viewers want to know exactly what's going on with the Overcome Academy and what your mission is with that.
Absolutely. So the Overcome Academy is our newest initiative, and we're really excited about it. I think, you know, a lot of this comes back from my own personal experiences. Having retired 3.5 years ago, getting out in the civilian sector, trying to find my feet and figure out how I assimilate and be successful out there. And it was hard. It was a struggle. It was a struggle to learn how to fit into the civilian world, how to figure out how to build structure within my own life, how to lead myself, how to start a business, how to do all these things. And when I talked to other veterans, they felt that same frustration and that same level of how do I do this? So I started looking back on more demographics, because when we talk about the World War II generation, the greatest generation, they came back, they led, they set the example. And when I started researching further, 50% of World War II veterans came back and started their own businesses.
Wow.
So we are proving that those guys truly came back and set the example of leadership within America. And it showed in everything they did. There are major businesses across the country that were started by World War II veterans: Walmart, Comcast, Nike, all of these. So we started looking at facts from our current generation. Only 4.5% are starting their own businesses. So there is a major gap in leadership within our current generation of veterans and the veterans of World War II. So a light bulb went on in my mind, and I said, why cannot we teach these guys leadership? Teach them how to get back out in the community as leaders. And that's exactly what the Overcoming Academy is about.
Now, do you think the decline is due to the market environment, or do you think it's the skill sets of the military, retired military that's coming back into the workforce, or is it a combination?
I think it's a combination of all. Go back to World War II, we had almost 70% of the nation that went forward and served. So we had millions of warriors that went out and fought. Fast forward to today, it's a much, much smaller demographic. We only have about 2%. So it's roughly about 3.5 million Americans since 9/11 that have gone and served. So we're a tiny demographic in a very large pool. So coming back and being able to transition the things that you've learned in the military and the civilian world is a little more arduous than I think a lot of us expected. Likewise, it's hard for the civilian sector to understand, how do I bring these guys, use them effectively in my company? Yes, I understand that they've led. Yes, I understand they understand hard situations. But sometimes that's not just an easy transition over. So it's educating both sides. And that's exactly what the Overcome Academy does. It teaches our warriors leadership, resiliency, and communication skills. We teach them how to speak civilian, which is an important thing. Yeah. The other thing, it's set up so that every warrior is sponsored by a company, and that company gets a direct connection and interaction with that warrior. They get to mentor that warrior through this process as they move forward and conducting their leadership task and purpose, the things we've identified in the Academy. That company sets up a small group of leaders to act as advisors for that warrior.
Almost like mentors. It
is exactly a mentorship environment. So the company benefits by being able to learn more about the warrior and help them be successful. The warrior benefits by obviously working with civilian leaders.
What are the top 2 or 3 things that are difficult for a retired military veteran to come back into the world? Is it, you mentioned being able to speak civilian. What do they really struggle with the most?
I think the number one thing that guys and gals struggle the most with is when you are overseas and in combat environments, your life is boiled down to a very basic, simple level, and that level is life or death. And you come back to the real world, and it is not that way. And people sometimes get a little caught up in situations that they probably don't need to be as stressed about as they are. Sure. And I think sometimes warriors have a hard time connecting with somebody that gets upset over something like that. They're like, hey man, nobody's shooting at us, nobody's dying, why are you upset over this? Yeah. And I think sometimes civilian companies are like, hey, you should be more upset at this, and they're not. So we have to find that balance. We have to teach them how to understand that it's no longer life and death in the civilian world, which is a good thing. But at the same time, we have to figure out how to create that at times sense of urgency we need in business.
It has to be difficult when your life is on the line and you've got that high intensity level to really protect yourself, and then to come back and even take a management job at a company. Nothing quite rises to the level of significance probably in the mind of a like yourself, of a military veteran, as what they had to experience in their own life. I mean, maybe you went through it yourself, got through it, became successful, but you found it on your own. Not everybody can do that.
You're absolutely right. And it is, it's tough to figure out how to build that structure into your own life, how to develop a level of understanding of the civilian world, how it operates, how businesses operate, and how you can take the skills that you learned on the battlefield and in the military and use them positively for yourself and also positively for that company. And that's a win-win. So that's what we want to teach them. We want to teach them that those lessons they learn, how to tell their story, how to turn that story into lessons on leadership, teamwork, resiliency, overcoming. And the Overcome Academy does that. And it gets those warriors into the companies that sponsor them to speak for that company. Every company's looking for good speakers to come in and motivate and inspire their employees. So now you get to inspire a warrior, you get to mentor a warrior, and you get to have this warrior come in and talk to your company about the principles every company wants to make their employees better.
What's the next 12 to 18 months look like for Overcome Academy?
So we are in the development phases, and we're looking to launch the pilot program come the very beginning of this year. So we're getting everything in place. We're excited to be working with Old Dominion University right there in Norfolk, where my alma mater, and right there where Combat Wounded Coalition is headquartered. They are helping us with the curriculum development. We want to make sure that everything we do has been thoroughly researched. And not only that, that we can measure it. We want to put a warrior through and be able to say, this is where he was at on the leadership spectrum before he started. This is where he is after the course. This is where he is a year from now. So that we can say we are positively creating change.
What a great mission. Even the businesses have to be excited, because so many of the skills that are trained and done in the military have so much value in business, organization, and what have you. Then you're bringing in the other what I would call the softer skills on how you put it all together. So it's really a win-win for the business. It's obviously a win for the military veteran that's coming back to assimilate into society. And what a great mission that can be accomplished.
And we got one more part of it that I think is great, and it's a win for the community. And that is, I've had the great opportunity to speak at a lot of schools, and our younger generation of Americans are looking for those role models of grit and resiliency in an ambiguous world that's out there. And that's one of the other things with the Overcome Academy. Every warrior goes and speaks at a school in their community, and every warrior has to take on a leadership role within youth programs. So whether they're a Boy Scout leader, whether they take on a Big Brother, Big Sister mentorship, whether they go coach a Little League team, we want to get them back out there to set the example. Because who better to get in front of your kids and say, hey, guess what? Things don't always come out the way we think. Life's not always fair. We don't always win. But guess what? You still got to drive forward. You still got to be an effective member of the team. You still got to lead.
It's always great to have you here, Jason. Thank you very much. Really appreciate your vision and what you're doing, even post your career. So it's just wonderful. Folks, Jason Redman here with author of the Trident book. He's a former Navy SEAL. He's served his country. He's now in his second stage of life, really helping those that come back. It's such a pleasure and honor to be with him. And we hope that you enjoy this time and really take a look at the Combat Wounded Coalition and certainly the Overcome Academy. If it's something that is of interest to you, then please reach out to them and you'll be able to find out the information. Jason, thank you very much.
Scott, thank you.
Bud. Thanks.